Hey, I'm back. I'm sorry about any of the noise that you guys might be catching. There's somebody cutting the grass outside. I can't really do much about that. This is the best time for me to go live, if I'm honest. So, yeah, I'm just going to continue with the strap. I'm making a mesh dress to match with my head covering. I'm using the same crochet thread, the same brand of thread. It is a different color from the thread, as you can clearly tell. But I am using the same brand of thread, and the video for this mesh bonnet lacy cap, I guess you could call it, will be going up later on today, so don't forget to check that out. But here we are. I have my 2-row repeat. As you can see, it's going to be the granny stripe as well as treble crochet mesh. So right now I'm on a treble crochet mesh row, so let me just show you guys how that works up. I started like I start all of my other rows, so I'm going to start with the stacked single crochet for my turning chain. Instead of chaining 4, I'm just going to build up the treble crochet stitch. So I do 3 single crochets stacked on top of each other to start the row. Make sure you chain 2, and then in the middle of the granny stitches, or of the clusters of 3 double crochet, in that very middle stitch, I'm going to plant my treble crochet. And then just chain 2, and then another treble crochet in the middle of the granny stitch. Again, chain 2, and then that last treble crochet is going to go into the last double crochet from the previous row. Nope, that's not how you do that. Okay, into the last double crochet from the previous row. Okay, and that would be my treble crochet row. I'm just going to go ahead and turn my work, and now I'm going to start my granny stripe row, which I'm going to start with 2 double crochet into the first stitch. So I start off by doing, again, the stack single crochet. I do stack by 2 for double crochet, and I stack 3 for the treble crochet. So I'm going to put another, and then we'll just yeah, and then we'll skip right onto that treble crochet from the previous row, and I'll put my granny cluster there. So that's 3 double crochet here, 3 double crochet here, and 2 double crochet at the end. I'm just going to go ahead and do that real quick. And again. One, 2, 3 double crochets. Okay, and like I said, to end off the row, I'm going to do 2 double crochets into that last stitch. So that's 1, 2. Okay, remember to turn my work, and this is what that row looked like. So now I'm on a treble crochet row. So like I've been doing, I'm going to start with my stacked single crochet, build it up to 3 single crochets stacked on top of each other to match the treble crochet stitch. So that's my first single crochet. I'm going to go into that back leg of that single crochet so that I can pull up the loop and make my second single crochet right on top of it, and then again into that back leg of that second single crochet, pull up my loop and make my third single crochet. And that is my first treble crochet of the row. Chain 2, yarn over twice, so I have 3 loops on my hook, as you can see, into the middle of the double crochet cluster from the previous row. Work my treble crochet, and then chain 2. Okay, I'm just going to continue that way down the rest of the row. Chain 2, and I want to end with a treble crochet at the end of the row into that last double crochet from the previous row. And this is what we've got so far. Again, this is just a strap. I'm going to be making a full dress, so of course I'm going to have to do 2 straps for 2 sides, but this is where we're starting off on that first strap. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I already have 12 rows, so I'm actually going to go ahead and start my increase. Not in this row. I'm going to finish this row with the regular granny stripe, and for the next row of my treble crochet mesh, that's when I'll start my increases. So I'm just going to go ahead and do my granny stripes for this row, and then I'll show you guys how to increase with the treble crochet in the next one. And since I am making a mesh sort of lacy dress, I am using a 3.5 millimeter hook with my size 10 crochet thread. So even though the thread does call for a 1.5 millimeter hook, I'm obviously doubling it and adding a little bit more, so that way I can get the drape that I want, and it can be very flowy, and it's just so that the mesh isn't too tight as well. That is for this row. So that is my granny stripe row. And now, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and start my increase on this next row. And the way I'm going to do that is super simple. I'm just going to increase by 2. So I'm going to add a treble crochet onto this end, starting off with that stacked treble crochet, or that stacked single crochet, 3 stacks. There's my first treble crochet, chain 2, yarn over twice, and then into that same stitch where we started, we're going to put the second treble crochet for the row. And that is my first increase. Go ahead and chain 2, do a treble crochet in the middle of the granny cluster from the previous row, chain 2, another treble crochet in the middle of the cluster, chain 2, and we are going to increase on this end like we did on the other side as well. So for here, I'm going to go into that last double crochet from the previous row, put my first treble crochet, chain 2, and add a second treble crochet into that same stitch. Okay, and that is my first increase row. So what I'm going to do is increase every other row. So I just increased now, so I'm going to just work my granny stripe across like how I have been doing. And then for the next row of treble crochet mesh, I'll increase again. So we're just going to get started with my stacked single crochets for my first double crochet. Just stack them 2 high. 1, 2, and now we do a second double crochet into that same stitch. And then I just work my granny clusters on top of the treble crochets. So that's 3 double crochets in each cluster. And I just do that all the way across until I make it to the last treble crochet from the previous row, where I'll do 2 double crochet instead of 3 to finish off this row. Okay, and like I said, at the end of the row, we're going to finish off with 2 double crochet in that last treble crochet from the previous row. So in this stitch. 1, 2. Okay, and again, we're going to increase. We're going to increase again. So I'm back to my treble crochet row. So that means we're going to do 2 treble crochets in the first stitch. So that's going to be a treble crochet, chain 2, treble crochet in that first stitch of this row. Just like how I did in the other row. So like I have been doing, I'm going to start with my stack single crochet. And this time I'm going to stack them 3 high, so that it can be my first treble crochet of the row. And we just go ahead and chain 2, yarn over twice, and in that first stitch where we started, we're going to put this same stitch, and that's my increase. And we're just going to work the row the way that I have been all the way across, which is just a treble crochet in the middle of the granny stitch of the granny clusters from the previous row, and a chain 2 for the mesh. Okay, and for that last stitch, we just work our treble crochet, chain 2, and then a second treble crochet for the increase into the same stitch. Okay. And this is what it's looking like so far, which, let's just show you guys what it's looking like. So far so good. So I'm just going to continue increasing. I would say maybe 1 or 2 more rows, and I'll have to increase a little more on this side as well, but so far so good. So I'm back to my granny stripe row, which is, I'm working it with 2 double crochets at the ends. So I start off with my stack single crochet, 2 high for that first double crochet, and then another double crochet in the same stitch. And then we just put the granny clusters on top of the treble crochets from the previous row. So that's 3 double crochets on top of each treble crochet from the previous row. If I can get it. There we go. And we're just going to do this all the way across until I get to the end of the row, where I'll finish off with 2 double crochet in that last stitch. Okay, and this is going to be my last granny cluster. So I'm doing 3 double crochets into this stitch, and for the end of the row I just do 2 double crochets on top of that last treble crochet from the previous row. Oh, so I'm going to double crochet and over. There we go. 1, 2. Okay, and this is what we've got so far. So I'm going to go ahead, turn my work. I am going to work an increase here, and then I'll check again to see how far down the strap is going. But this is what we've got so far. So I'm working that increase. Again, I'm going to do 2 treble crochets into the first stitch. It's going to be a treble crochet, chain 2, treble crochet in that first stitch. So I'm just stacking up my single crochets 3 high so that I have my first treble crochet, and then we chain 2, yarn over 2 times, and in that same stitch I'm going to go right back and work our second treble crochet, and that will be the increase. There's our increase, chain 2, and now we just treble crochet in the middle of each granny cluster. So that's 1. And you want to make sure that you chain 2 between each treble crochet so that you still have that mesh and you're not losing any stitches. You're going to chain 2. 1, 2, and then yarn over twice into the middle of that granny cluster from the previous row. Work up my treble crochet and then chain 2. Just keep going this way until the end of the row. And of course, don't forget to add your increase at the end of the row. You don't want it to be lopsided. You want to make sure everything comes out even and symmetrical. Well, I want to make sure it does. This is the way I'm building this pattern. Chain 2, and then again, this is my second to last treble crochet. Well, this is my last treble before the increase. So here we go. Now we're in that last stitch, so we're going to work that treble crochet increase. Oh, goodness. All right, there we go. 2, 3, and we chain 2, and we put another treble crochet into that same stitch. Okay, and this is what we've got so far. So I'm just gonna try it on. Try it on, as you can see. Okay, this is what we've got. So I've reached the point where I want it to be. So what I'm going to do is actually make a chain to get me to the other side. So I'm going to make a chain that's long enough to go across the chest as well as build the other strap. So that's what we're going to be doing now. Let me just count my stitches so that I know how many stitches I need at the end. Since you do want to make sure that you're keeping it into a multiple of 3 for the granny stripe, since the granny stripe is a multiple of 3 plus 1. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm doing that. So that's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 28. So that's 28, which is 3, a multiple of 3. It is. It's a multiple of 3 plus 1. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make my chain across, like I said, to fit across my chest, and then I'm going to make sure to add the other 27. What I'm trying to do is build this front all in one piece. So right now I have it backwards, but trust me, it's going to work. So I have the first side of the strap. Let me just get this out of the way. I have that first side of the strap, and what I plan on doing is making the chain to go across here as well as across here. So that way I can build the second side of the strap, and then we'll basically be working on the back straps of the dress. But it's going to make sense. Just give it a second, okay? So we're going to be working off of multiple of 3. So I have 1, 2, 3. That's 1. 1, 2, 3. 6. 1, 2, 3. 9. 1, 2, 3. 12. 2, 3. 15. 18. 1, 2, 3. That's 21. So I'm just going to go ahead, try it on again. Make sure that it's fitting the way that I want it to. Is it? It is. Okay, so what we do from here, I have 21. I need a safety pin. Or the bobby pin's going to work. So in that last stitch, in my 21, I'm going to put my bobby pin so that I can mark the stitch and remember. So I can mark the stitch to remember where I finished, where I'm starting the strap. So I have my bobby pin there. And like I counted previously in the other strap, I have 28. If I can get the bobby pin in, we can move on. A safety pin would have been much easier. Okay, so I have 28 already worked up, 21 in the chain, and I'm going to do another chain of 28 so that I can have a second strap so that the straps are similar. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to make 28. So that's 21. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 6. 1, 2, 3. 9. 1, 2, 3. 12. 1, 2, 3. 15. 1, 2, 3. 18. 1, 2, 3. 21. 1, 2, 3. 24. 1, 2, 3. 27 plus 1 is 28. So now for this side of the strap, we're going to be decreasing for a couple of rows. Well, we're actually going to be decreasing for the same amount of rows that we increased on this side. So I have 1, 2, 3 increases, so that means I'm going to do 3 decrease rows. So this is how they're going to be worked up. Now, since the last strap ended with the treble crochet mesh, this new side is going to start with a treble crochet mesh. So I'm going to make sure that I make the same amount of stitches on this side, that I make the same amount of stitches here that I made over here, so that they can match, they can be the same size, because it doesn't make sense to have straps that are 2 different sizes on the same dress. So that's what we're doing now. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with my treble crochet. As I have been doing, I'm going to start with the treble crochet, with the stacked single crochets for my treble crochet, for my first treble crochet stitch. Let me just make sure that my chain is straight. You don't want to crochet with a crooked chain. That just makes everything harder than it needs to be. Put this down to the bottom. Okay. I'm just making sure that my chain is straight before I start. That way I'm not giving myself more of a headache than I need to, and it's good to go. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start with our first treble crochet. I'm not going to make any additional chains. I'm just going to start in that first stitch from my loop in that first stitch from my hook, sorry, I'm gonna get started. So let me redo that last stitch. It got a little too tight. Okay, now right into that first stitch, no additional chains needed. I'm gonna go ahead and work my first double crochet, my first single crochet, and then I'm gonna stack on top. I'm gonna stack 2 more single crochets on top of that 1 single crochet, and that will be my first treble crochet in this row. Okay, actually, for this row, since I'm trying to make it similar to this row, we'd actually have to start off by treble crocheting 2 together. So I already started my treble crochet. I did 2 stacks for that first single crochet. So what we're going to do, make sure I can skip 2 stitches, 1, 2. I'm going to yarn over twice to start my second treble crochet. Go skip 2 stitches from this chain, go into that third stitch, and we start our treble crochet again. So go through 2, go through 2, and now we're going to go through the last 3 loops. And that is my first treble crochet decrease. So we're going to go ahead, chain 2, and build our next treble crochet 2 stitches from our previous treble crochet. And this is not going to be 2 together, this is just going to be a regular treble crochet. Again, chain 2, skip 2 stitches from the previous treble crochet, and then right into that third stitch, we'll put our treble crochet. Chain 2, 1, 2. Okay, skip 2 chains and treble crochet into the third. And then again, a treble crochet, chain 2, 1, 2, and a treble crochet into that third chain. Chain 2, so you want to make sure you skip 2 here, treble crochet into the third. There we go, there we go. Chain 2, 1, 2, skip 2, and we treble crochet into the third. Again, chain 2. We're just going to do this all the way across until I make it to my bobby pin. And that's where I'll stop with my treble crochets. But you want to make sure, I'm going to make sure that I do the decrease and I don't forget. So I did skip 2 in the chain, and into that third one, we work our treble crochet. 1, 2, 3, chain 2 again. Am I chaining 2 again? Yeah. Sorry about that. Hold on a minute. Did I skip one? Chain 2, 1, 2. What did I do? Why am I confused? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, my bad. I messed up. Okay, we're not going to chain 2 for this last one. We're going to do all the way up until the top. That treble crochet. Okay, so no, we don't chain 2 here. This is where I would be doing my decrease. So that's 1, 2. Okay, so just going to chain. We're going to treble crochet 2 together here. Okay, so this is what it should look like. At the end of the row, you have your treble crochet 2 togethers at the end, and then the regular treble crochet mesh, which matches with the other strap, on the other side. So these two, they're the same, trust me. Okay, and now we're gonna start off with our granny stripe. So for the granny stripe, like how I've been doing it, I'm gonna do 2 granny stitches, or 2 double crochets at the beginning and 2 at the end, and then of course the cluster of 3 in the middle. So I'm starting off with my stack single crochets. I'm going to stack them 2 high so that I have my first double crochet, and then we'll just work another double crochet right into that same stitch where we started, and that will be the start of my granny stripe. And now on top of each treble crochet from the previous row, we're going to work 3 double crochets into that stitch, and this is going to give me that granny stripe look. That's 1, 2, 3. Now into the next one. I don't make any chains in the middle of my granny clusters. I just do my 3 double crochets into the stitch I'm going to work it in, and skip the other stitches in between, go right into that next one. I do want the dress to be meshy, but I don't want too many holes in the dress, you know? Or I don't want the holes to be too big all over the dress. I'm already making them pretty big with the treble crochet mesh, so I don't want every row to have huge holes. And I really do like that tiny little openings in between the granny stripes. So I feel like that's more than enough. But yeah, I'm just gonna work my 3 clusters, my granny clusters, all the way across, 3 double crochets in each cluster. And that's 1 cluster on top of each treble crochet. And at the end of the row, we just do 2 double crochets on top of that last treble crochet to finish the row. Okay, and for that last set in the row, as you can see, this is the treble crochet decrease from the previous row. We're just going to work 2 double crochets into that one, the same way we started the row. So it's not too complicated. It's actually a pretty easy pattern to follow, and it's pretty easy to see where in the pattern you are. You just have to look, honestly. You just have to look, and you can see, okay, either I'm doing the granny stripe or I'm doing the treble crochet mesh, but it does all work up the same. And just to show you guys what it looks like on, so that you can see that it is working up exactly the way that I wanted. See? It's going well. It's going well. Okay, so I'm just going to do my next row of treble crochet mesh. And again, I am going to have to do a decrease just to follow the pattern on this strap. So we're going to start off with our first treble crochet, which is going to be my stacked single crochets. I'm going to stack 2 high because I'm treble crocheting 2 together. So we're only going up to this part, but you do want to make sure that you go into that back leg, pull up the loop like if you were doing the third one. You still want to set up that third stack single crochet, and then just go ahead and do your decrease with the treble crochet 2 together. And remember to chain 2 after you do the decrease. And now we're just treble crochet all the way across until I get to the end where I'll do another decrease. Okay, and I hope you guys can see what I'm doing. I'll definitely make sure to show what everything looks like before I end the live, just so you guys can see what's been going on. But as you can see, I made it to the last row, so I'm gonna go ahead and do my treble crochet 2 together for that end, for the end of this row. And here we go. This is what we've got so far. So let me go ahead, do my granny stripe. And then it's just one more row of decrease, and then I can just do the repeat regular with no increases or decreases needed. Okay, and I am doing the granny clusters on top of each treble crochet. So that's 3 double crochet in each cluster. Okay, and just remember I'm doing 2 double crochet at the beginning and at the end of each granny cluster, of each granny stripe row, so that my count doesn't go off. Okay, this is that last one. I'm gonna go ahead and do my 2 double crochets right on top of my treble crochet 2 together from the previous row. This is what we've got. Okay, and this is going to be my last row of decreases, right? Yeah, this is going to be my last row of decreases. So my last row of treble crochet 2 together before I just start working on the pattern the regular way with no increases or decreases included. So I'm going to go ahead and start my decrease, my treble crochet 2 together. I'm doing my stacked single crochets 2 high, starting the 3rd single crochet, not finishing it. So I have the 2 loops on my hook still, yarn over twice, go into the middle of the granny cluster from the previous row, pull up that loop, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. I should have 3 loops on my hook as you see. Yarn over and I'm going to go through all 3, and that is a treble crochet 2 together. I'm going to go ahead, finish my row, and I will make sure to do the treble crochet 2 together at the end of this row as well. Okay, and here, as you can see, I have my 2 loops. I'm going to go ahead and stop right there, yarn over twice, and in that last stitch is where I'll yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through all 3 to do that treble crochet decrease. And this is the last decrease that I'm working for this strap. So from here, I'm just going to be working my granny stripes and my treble crochet mesh with no increases or decreases included until I can get to the end of the strap. And well, until it's the same as this one. So I do have my 2 straps attached in the front, as you can see. And yeah, this is what they're looking like so far. So far so good. They are working up pretty good. They are looking pretty similar. So, well, they look the same. So I'm just going to finish building this one up so that it's the same height as this one, and then I'll get started on the back portion of the straps. Okay, and like I've been doing, I'm just going to start my granny stripe row with 2 double crochets in that first stitch. So I do start my rows off with these stacked single crochets. When I'm doing double crochets, I do 2 stacked, so I do 2 single crochets stacked on top of each other. And when I'm doing a treble crochet, I do 3 single crochets stacked on top of each other. And actually, depending on the stitch that I'm making, I can stack as many single crochets on top of each other as I want. So it really does make it much easier to start the row because you have an actual stitch at the beginning of each row, and it makes the edges look really nice. It makes the edges look straight. You don't have to worry about any chains poking out or anything looking weird. I really like doing the stacked single crochets instead of chaining for my edges. Okay, and this is my last stitch on this row. Now is my last stitch, my last double crochet. And like I said, I'm not increasing or decreasing anymore. So for this next treble crochet row, I'm just going to do the triple crochet mesh across, and I'll just continue working that way until, like I said, I get to the same length as this strap. Okay, and from here on, like I said, no more increases or decreases. So I'm just going to be building up the strap until it's the same as the other strap that I already have, and we'll go from there. We'll see how long that takes. I don't want to be on live for more than an hour, and I'm already 43 minutes in, so I still have a couple minutes to go, so hopefully I'll be able to get a lot more done within the next 15 minutes. But right now I'm working my granny stripe row, and as I have been, I'm starting with 2 double crochets on each end, and I'm putting my cluster of 3 double crochets on top of my treble crochets from the previous row. Okay, and this is the end of the granny stripe row. And this is what the strap is looking like so far. Again, I'm going to be building it up to be the same as this strap here. So I do already have the bases for both straps basically done and ready to go. I'm just building this one up to the same size as this one now. And the pattern that I am using is a combination of 2 stitches. I have my granny stripe, which is double crochet clusters, and then my treble crochet mesh. And the treble crochet mesh row is, honestly, it's just a treble crochet with chain 2 in the middle of each treble crochet. There we go. Okay. Chain 2, and then a treble crochet in the middle of the granny stitch, the granny cluster from the previous row. 2, 3, chain 2, yarn over twice, and again, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, yarn over twice, and in the last stitch, we work the treble crochet with no chain stitches. Go ahead, turn my work. And now for my granny stripe, we're going to start off with 2 double crochets in the first stitch. So that's 2 double crochets in the exact same stitch. 1, 2. And now we do 3 double crochets over the treble crochets from the previous row. So we're going to do 3 double crochets in this one stitch here. Okay, and to end the row, we do 2 double crochets into that last treble crochet from the previous row. 1, 2. Okay, and so far so good. Let me just count my rows to see how many I need. 1. That's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 7, 5 more. It's raining outside. It's actually really nice. We have a tropical depression passing over us, but it's making for some amazing days. Okay, so we're going to start off our treble crochet row, like how I have been, with the treble crochet, the stacked single crochet. Stack it 3 high for my first treble crochet, and then I just chain 2 after this stack. 1, 2, and then it's a treble crochet in the middle of the granny clusters, and a treble crochet at the end of the row, making sure to chain 2 between each treble crochet. I'm going to turn into a treble crochet the amount of times I've said that word already. I'll treble crochet myself. Here we go. Okay. And we are actually almost there. We're almost there. That's okay. Okay. So this is my granny stripe row, and I do 1 granny cluster. Jesus Christ. we do one granny cluster over each treble crochet from the previous row. It looks so short. I have a whole torso right here. Torso. Why are these pants so tall? Anyways, yeah, granny clusters. So I do 3 double crochets on top of each treble crochet from the previous row. 1, 2, 3. No chains, nothing extra in between the granny clusters. Just go straight into the next stitch and make your cluster. And then again. 1, 2 to end the row. Just turn our work, and we're going to go ahead and start with our treble crochet. And as I've been doing, we're going to start with the stacked single crochet 3 high for my first treble crochet. 2, 3 single crochet stacked on top of each other makes a treble crochet. Chain 2, 1, 2, yarn over twice and into the middle of that granny cluster from the previous row. We just plant our treble crochet right there. Chain 2, 1, 2, and again in the middle of the cluster we put our treble crochet. 2, 3, chain 2, and finish off with a treble crochet in the last double crochet from the previous row. 1, 2, 3. Let's see how many we have. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We didn't get anywhere. We got 10. Okay. 10, and we need 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we need 3 more. Yes. Okay. And look at that. I made a mistake in my project, and I didn't realize until I was editing the video, actually. That's when I found this little mistake here in my project. Editing the video. I didn't even see it. I didn't see it while I was crocheting. I didn't see it while I was adding the pearls. I didn't see the mistake while I was weaving in my ends. I found this mistake here. The only one mistake in this whole project. This one mistake, I found it editing the video. So you gotta crochet with your eyes open, if you know what I mean. But I'm working my granny stripe right here, and like I've been doing, I'm going to start with 2 double crochets into the first stitch. So we do my stack single crochet, stack 2 single crochets high, which makes a double crochet, and then we just yarn over and put another double crochet right into that same stitch. 1, 2. We're going to put 3 double crochets on top of each treble crochet from the previous row as my granny cluster, and like I started the row, I'm going to end the row with 2 double crochet into that last treble crochet of this row. So, if I can, there we go. 1, 2, 3, and we'll end this row with 2 double crochets in that last stitch. Okay, now this is my second to last row. So I'm going to work my treble crochet and then my granny stripe row, and then I'll be done with this strap. It'll match the strap it's attached to. They'll match. So let's go ahead and do this row here. Treble crochets, so we stack my single crochets 3 high for my first treble crochet of the row, chain 2, 1, 2, and then we work our treble crochet into the center of the cluster from the previous row, chain 2, 1, 2, and again work the treble crochet into the center of the cluster from the previous row, chain 2, and we finish the row with a treble crochet. Yeah. Yes, we do. We finish with a treble crochet. Okay. Okay. And now for the last row of this strap, finally we made it. We're going to go ahead and work our granny cluster. So I do 2 double crochets in that first stitch, 2 double crochets in the last stitch, and of course a cluster of 3 double crochets in between. So this is my first double crochet, which is a stacked single crochet to count as the first double crochet. Another double crochet into that same stitch. 1, 2, and then the 3 double crochets, or the granny cluster, on top of each treble crochet from the previous row. 3, 3. And we finish off with 2 double crochet in that last treble crochet from the previous row, and we're going to check our straps, make sure they're the same. Make sure I have the same amount of rows on both straps, so that they're the same, you know. The last thing you need is mismatching straps. Mismatched straps, which these, are they? They better not be. They're not. Okay, they're the same. Yeah. Okay, and so I have my straps for the front completed. So that is what the straps are looking like. They are the same, thankfully. So I'm actually going to stop here, and I will come back. I'll come back another day and show you guys the rest of the project, but I am going to keep working on it a little more, so the next time I come back on a live, it most likely will be a little bit farther on, but for right now, we have the 2 straps worked up. So far, so good. This is the front of the dress, so we're going to keep working it from here. So the next time you see me, hopefully I'll be a little bit farther on, and hopefully we'll be able to just pick up and continue working on this dress. But so far, this is what I've got, and like I said, I'll see you guys in the next live, and we'll continue working on it from there. But thanks for joining me in this live. Don't forget to check out my channel, chaotic_crafts, where I have videos of this project that you see on my head now, as well as other projects, so you guys can always check those out and see if you see anything you like. Maybe you can give me a subscribe and continue on with me. But I'll see you guys in the next one, and I hope you guys have a great week. Bye.